Around the world, there is an estimated 55.3 million people that die each year. Their deaths can be for a number of reasons, such as natural occurrence, accidentals, or capital punishment. This topic is a very controversial topic in the United States. People are either strongly for or strongly against this type of punishment. People choose to be in favor of capital punishment or the death penalty because it is supported in the Old and New Testament. They believe it is justice, it helps reduce the rate of homicides, and the cost to keep them in prison is expensive. But people still choose to be against this action. There are many reasons why people receive the death penalty. Procon.org, published in September 2012, said the number one reason is for committing first-degree murder, which is by far the most common reason for execution. Additionally, one can get the death penalty for committing crimes that don't involve murder at all. Procon.org also says that a person can be executed for non-murder crimes such as espionage, treason, and drug trafficking. However, getting the death penalty for committing these types of crimes is very rare. The authorized methods for administering executions for capital offenses in the United States are by lethal injection, electrocution, gas chambers, hanging, and the fire squad. The most common way of administering the death penalty is by lethal injection. The Death Penalty Information Center, or DPIC, published in 2016, says 33 states use this type of method. The least common way to carry out executions are by hanging and the fire squad. Less than 4 states permit these types, says DPIC. Many people believe the death penalty is okay to be carried out because it is stated in the Old and the New Testament of the Bible that it should be permitted. Stand to Reason published an article in 2016 that said, in Genesis chapter 9, section 6, the Bible says, "Whoever sheds man's blood, by man his blood shall be shed." This statement basically says it all. The Bible does support capital punishment. People who are very religious could read this statement and be convinced that God said killing the murderer is a punishment that is accepted. Justice is a big thought that comes to mind when thinking about capital punishment. This could be justice for the family or just for someone that wants to see the convicted sentenced for their crimes. People sometimes feel this is the only way to feel better about what occurred. They also believe that if a person is willing to commit the crime, they should be willing to commit willing to do the time as well. Capital punishment has always been around. This means that the people that commit heinous crimes that would get them this punishment already know that this is what they have coming for them. Knowing this information, CBS News still stated on June 11, 2007, that analysts say yes, it does help by saving 3 to 18 lives because of the fact that the convicted doesn't want a punishment like that. Saving any lives at all is always the main purpose in an event like this. Sitting in jail using of taxpayer dollars is another huge reason why people think the death penalty should be allowed. Robert B. N.V. wrote on July 11, 2015, that people don't put into account the cost of life without parole cases. Many people will plead guilty so they can avoid capital punishment and finish the rest of their days in prison. This is where people get upset for having to pay all the expenses for a criminal to sit in prison. Capital punishment has its reasoning behind keeping this necessary action. Making sure people are not killed in cold blood is always the main priority in situations like these. People choose to be in favor of capital punishment or the death penalty because it is supported in the Old and New Testament. They believe it is justice, it helps reduce the rate of homicides, and the cost to keeping them in prison is expensive. But many people still choose to be against this action. Getting punished for a crime is not always the answer, but in many instances, such as this one, I feel it makes people feel as if there is justice in the world we live in.